Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Plan Your Federal Benefits. I am your host today. My name is Dallen Haws, and today we're talking about a great age for FERS federal employees to retire. There is no perfect age for everyone to hang it up. Everyone has different circumstances, different facts, different things that affect when it makes sense for them to retire. But that being said, there is an age that is built into the retirement rules, the retirement benefits that you have. There are many incentives to retire at 62 or later. Okay? So I'm going to go over all the main incentives that are just built into your benefits, that by working till at least 62, you can get these benefits if it makes sense for you. For some people, it still doesn't make sense, but it definitely pays to know, okay, if I'm close to 62, working those few extra years, few extra months, whatever it is for you, what benefits, what is the difference between before 62, 62, or later? So, let's dig right in. So, one of the first things to know, and many of you might already know this, but it's the 10% bonus that you automatically get to your pension when you retire at 62 or later with at least 20 years of service. So, just to recap, if you don't already know, the calculation for your pension is your years of credible service times your high 3 times your multiplier. And by working at least till 62 with 20 years, your multiplier is what changes. In the normal FERS calculation, that multiplier is 1%. Okay? When you retire at 62 with 20 years, that multiplier changes to 1.1%, which is a 10% bonus to your pension every year for the rest of your life. And not only that, but once you get that 1.1% bonus, that 10% bonus, then COLAs, or cost of living adjustments, every year increase that larger amount. So the difference becomes larger and larger every year. So let's do a quick example. Let's say a regular FERS employee, okay, with the normal calculation, with the 1% multiplier, they do their calculation. Let's say they have 30 years of service. Let's do simple math. They have a high 3 of 100,000 and their multiplier. So if you do that math, their gross annual pension would be 30 grand. Okay, so 30 grand. Now, let's say they're close to 62. Maybe they're at 61 in 6 months or something. They're like, hey, should I work another 6 months to 62? Now, if we run the same numbers, exact same numbers, but with the 1.1% multiplier, then their 30 grand pension changes to $33,000 every year. So that's the difference, right? It's the 10% pop just by making it to 62 in 20 years to your pension. So that's the first thing that you definitely have to know. Now, the next built-in benefit is that when you retire at 62 or later, Social Security is immediately available. Now, as I'm sure you know, you can take Social Security anytime between 62 and age 70. Okay? You don't have to take it at 62, you don't have to take it at 70, you can take it any time in between. Now, the amount you get varies dramatically depending on when you turn Social Security on. So, I am not saying just because if you retire at 62 that you should start Social Security right away. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that is an option if it makes sense for you. If you retire before 62, it's just not an option. Even if you would need the income earlier than that, you can't turn it on until at least 62. There are lots of pros and cons when it comes to, okay, should I take it at 62 or should I delay? There's lots of things to think about, and this is not a video where I'm going to dig into that. I've produced a number of videos on Social Security. Go to my YouTube channel, definitely check it out. There's a bunch of stuff, even on my podcast or my website, I have a bunch of articles about when you should take Social Security, because there's a lot of things to think about. But if you retire at least at 62, if it makes sense for you, you can take Social Security right away, which can be a great benefit. Okay. Now, another thing that is a great perk to retiring at 62 or later is that you get COLAs right away. Now, COLAs are cost of living adjustments. Now, this is the annual little increase that you get to your pension every year in retirement. And a special little nuance for FERS employees is that before age 62, that increase doesn't happen. So let's say you have 30 years of service, you retire at 57, okay? You don't get a COLA, you don't get a cost of living adjustment to your pension from 57 up till 62. So that's 5 years when your pension doesn't change. Prices and things will go up over that time, but your pension's not going to change. Once you hit 62, then it'll start increasing. So if you retire at 62, it'll automatically start increasing every year, and you don't have to wait for that to start turning on, and that can be a huge, huge perk. And let me make one distinction here before I go any farther, is that many people get confused on COLAs and pay raises during their career. So during your career, when the president and Congress gets together and they come up with a new bill, they decide what pay adjustments happen every year. This is not COLAs, this is separate. COLAs to your pension happen automatically. It's already written into the laws that your pension as a federal retiree, as a FERS federal retiree, will increase every year depending on what inflation was the previous year. So it'll happen automatically once you turn 62. Okay, so those are the three big ones that you definitely want to think about when thinking about, okay, should I retire at 62? Should I retire a little later, a little earlier? Things like that. Now, there are a few other thoughts. Since you're past 59 and a half at age 62, you're not going to have to worry about the retirement account early withdrawal penalties that generally happen, right? So that's one perk. Not to mention that you will get the bonus to your pension for every extra year, every month that you work. Your pension just increases because your years of credible service increases over time, so that's a nice bonus. And by working longer, it gives you more time to put money into the TSP. So there's obviously a lot of monetary incentives to work longer. First, you save more, your pension's bigger, and second, you have less years of retirement to think about. Now, with all that being said, with all those different things that really incentivize FERS federal employees to retire at 62 or later, for many federal employees, it still is not worth it, right? Some people don't want to work another day longer than they have to. And if they can afford to retire earlier, then they want to. And I think that's a great thing. Me as a financial planner don't always say, hey, work longer. I say, hey, what are your goals? How do we make that happen as quickly as possible? And if your goals can be reached by retiring at 57 with 30 years of service, awesome. That's awesome. That's great. Let's do that. I think the most important thing is know the rules and know the incentives. Know the things that you are giving up by retiring early, before 62, right? And know what you're getting if you are going to retire after 62. That can be a great way to decide when it makes sense for you to retire, what benefits you're going to have, and how to get the most out of them, and set yourself up for retirement. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any other questions on retiring at 62, put them in the comments below. I will do my very best to answer them. And one other note, if you're special provisions FERS, the rules are a little different, okay? I just want to mention that this doesn't apply to you perfectly. Definitely look into the nuances of what special provisions FERS have to do with. The rules are different, and most of the time, special provisions retire earlier because of the demands of their job. So, with that being said, I hope that was helpful. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you and see you next time.